So Claude Opus 4.5 is released by Anthropic, which is the state-of-the-art model according to them in coding abilities and in general reasoning as well. You can see that if you look at some metrics, you can see that in every single benchmark, Claude Opus 4.5 is better than Sonnet as well as Opus 4.1. Sonnet 4.5 is the de facto model right now. If you're a developer who's using Claude Code or any of these tools, you would see that most of the coding tech is built on top of Sonnet 4.5. And now Opus is there, which is better at agentic coding as well as agentic terminal coding. These are some of the benchmarks that these guys use to tell you that how they are getting better. And Claude Code is significantly better for computer use and tool use as well, specifically for computer use because they mentioned that it has gotten better at vision, so it can see better now. Now this has also driven a bunch of things. For example, Adam, who's an engineer at Claude Code, says that I believe that this new model in Claude Code is a glimpse of future where we are going maybe as soon as the first half of the next year, which is like the first few months, January, February, March 2026, software engineering is done. Now, when some tweets like these surface up, it's always viewed from, a bit of a pinch of salt, because these tweets and these things are easy to say, but it's extremely hard to actually get there because, at the end of the day, we as developers, when we use these systems, we use these softwares, there are cracks and things that appear only in the code base that you have. Most of the people might be saying, oh, this is a great tool, but at the end of the day, if it's not doing the job 100% for you, software engineering won't be done, right? You would always need a supervision or some sort of thing going on. Soon we won't bother to check generated code for the same reasons we don't check compiler output. This is one of the strongest takes I have seen in the AI community so far, coming from somebody obviously this much reputable and having so much work experience. I mean, I'm a little bit skeptical of this, so I would not bet my money on what he's saying, but because if you look at compilers, they are extremely stable piece of technology, which is probably one of the best things that people have developed in the coding, in the technical space. I don't think LLMs are anywhere near correctness in terms of generating code just from English, because English by itself, by definition, is a loose language, right? You could technically say something, but you can mean something else entirely. So this claim, I'm sure like somebody can even mathematically prove it wrong, that this cannot be physically possible to do because how ill language English is as a programming language, right? Because you can mean multiple things with a single sentence, with a few changes here and there, with a few words here and there. But anyway, not getting into technicalities and coming back to the Opus 4.5 announcement, you will see that in their official blog post, they have written a bunch of things, including the pricing. So the pricing is pretty heavy. You see, it says $5 and $25 per million tokens, which is the input output, which is expensive, right? This is not going to be cheap for people. Now, if you look at the same time, if you look at Claude Sonnet's 4.5 pricing, you would see that it's around $3 per input and $15 per output. So if you're using Claude Sonnet 4.5 already over API, this is not going to hurt you as much. But if you're using Claude Sonnet over things like maybe like a cursor subscription or maybe like Claude Code itself, then just shifting to API directly would be a little bit of troubling for you. Now, Claude Opus 4.5 is definitely cheaper than 4.1, which you can see is almost 3 times expensive in input and 3 times expensive in output as well. So it's like 3 times cheaper and it's better also. So obviously these models are getting cheaper, right? The context window is still 200K. So no change over here. The max output has been increased to 64,000 tokens now. And the reliable knowledge cutoff is a few months ahead of time, right? So they probably started training the model in March itself. Now, of course, these first impressions and benchmarks are cool, but I want to take it for a spin because I've done this in the last couple of videos as well with the code base for Fermion, which is my startup, my company, where we help businesses with education use cases. If you want to build your own learning management system, if you want to do live classes, coding labs, you want to have video streaming, you want to, run parallel classes, we help a lot of these businesses shift from Zoom and Google Meet to Fermion. So we get a lot of these small tickets here and there from people, right? In terms of feature implementation, bug fixes, and so on. So I mean, what's better than actually using these models in the real world use case? All right, so let me start Claude Code now, and I am on Pro, not Pro Max. So you will see that inside models, I would not have Opus 4.5, right? Since I don't want to take it for a spin right away, like I don't want to make use of it, I just want to test it out. I would just go ahead and write extra usage for now so that I can configure it via API. Let me enable this and let me maybe add $5 in the balance as well so that at least that works and it does not stop in between doing the issue itself. I'm assuming that the issue itself would not take a million tokens in input output, just to see. All right, so now we have extra usage on. Let's head back and let's try to use Claude with account. I don't know if this will work or not. Let's see. I've not used Claude Code before this with extra usage parameter. So if we do it now, okay, maybe not. I think I'll have to use the API for this. All right, I don't know what happened. I was not able to configure the API itself, but I guess that in the models, at least it shows me now Opus 4.5. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that. All right, now all that is left is thinking of an issue on Fermion. That is something that we can test the model with. Now I'm gonna pick this issue, right? So this is something that I don't expect this to obviously complete in a single video because this will require a lot of extensive testing and stuff, but I want to just go about and see how Claude Code or what exactly Claude Code proposes, right? So what the issue is, just to give you guys an idea, is that Fermion, for example, one of the services that it supports is the ability to have a video library, right? In a video library, you can upload any number of videos. You can, once you have uploaded, we will process it. You can then enable DRM and AI transcription on these videos as well. DRM is basically a technology that prevents piracy, and you can see, like, for example, you can't see this video, it's blacked out because DRM is on this, right? So what you can do effectively on Fermion is you can upload these videos, they will be processed by us, and then you can embed it either externally inside your own platforms using like this embed URL that we have here with the signing token, or what you can also do is just use these videos inside your own courses, which are powered by Fermion, right? So you can create courses on a bunch of things and you can sell them and so on. Now, what this issue is basically is that these videos that you upload, what we want to do is we want to make these videos multilingual, right? So what we want effectively is, for example, if this is one video, what we would ideally want to do is inside the quality itself, we would want, so quality is obviously one factor, but we would also want a language selector here, right? So ideally I should be able to come here and say that, hey, my video should be available in English, Hindi, maybe Mandarin, maybe like some other 4 or 5 languages. And what it will do is in the background, it will automatically make that possible, right? So just like on YouTube, right? YouTube has recently rolled this out. So this is the same video configuration player access that we are trying to give instructors and the end users, and that is what this issue is. But it requires a lot of infrastructural changes, right? So I would walk you through, once Claude has done its work on the initial plan, at least on whether the plan is right or not, whether the plan is sound or not, right? Because obviously the implementation is something I will skip in this video because that would require a lot of fine tuning and checking here and there, maybe like a 2-hour video or something, like working with Claude Code, sitting down and just completing something. But for now, I will go into plan mode, right? And let me write this prompt. All right, so let's just go over a prompt real quick. So what I'm asking Claude to do is that you have to build a multi-audio support feature for videos uploaded on Fermion. When somebody uploads a video, we process that video, make it available for playback. By default, we have the original audio and video, which is what we want to have is like a multi-audio in a single video. It has 2 phases. Now something I'm just obviously assisting it. First of all, creating an architecture that supports multi-audio, because right now, something I've not told Claude, but I'll tell you is that these videos, for example, have interleaved audio and video, right? So a single chunk of segment, which is this HLS manifest also has video and audio. So that architecture needs to be fundamentally changed, right? And secondly, obviously you also need to transcode the audio into multiple audio languages. So you also need to do that, right? So which we'll figure out later. Like I don't want it to just go and start implementing 11 labs or so, or maybe like start downloading Python models or so. But I do need the architectural changes that it needs to do, including schema, resolvers, crons, all of that for part 1 and 2 both. So let's see what it produces. So one of the things that I can see clearly is Claude Opus by default, for example, is running 3 explore agents. This is something that I have not seen in Claude Sonnet, right? So this is something which is relatively new. Opus is doing these agents. I don't know if I had configured something wrong in Sonnet or not, but this is something I've not seen, like Claude actually just doing this in parallel with agents, the exploration part also. One thing as a feedback that I would want for Claude's team, if somebody's watching, is that you should release a plan mode, which is also dangerous in nature, right? So just like we have edit mode, for plan mode, something like this should exist where it can just go ahead and read any files and execute commands as well, right? Because sometimes, like you already would have seen in this video, like it asks you for approval for find commands and all. I just want to run it in dangerous mode, that's fine, right? So you can see like a bunch of tokens are already getting consumed. I think $5 might not be enough for this task. So you can see like how these costs can really add up and why it would make a lot of sense for using something like Claude Opus 4.5 over Claude Code subscription and not with API. API is going to be extremely expensive. You can already see I've crossed probably like 150k or 200k tokens, which is, if we translate that into the input pricing at least, that's $5 per million tokens for input and 25 for output. I am assuming that this was input. Okay, so it's saying me how should audio tracks be organized? Should they be tied to video source or to the video itself? So this is an internal detail, you would not know about it. Claude knows it because it has done a bunch of research now. But for now, I'm gonna go with video itself. What audio track types do you want to support initially? So for now, we'll just go with original plus AI dubbed. Playback mode has to be HLS only. For now, we'll just do clear key because DRM is going to get a little tricky. Like also Claude Code says that it's simpler this way. So we'll start with clear key. We can extend this to DRM later if needed. And let's go. So Fermion, by the way, also supports DRM for these videos, right? Like I mentioned, you can enable DRM. The complication with DRM is that sometimes, I mean, in our case, we don't encrypt it, but you can technically encrypt audio track as well with DRM. So that it would not play until and unless it's decrypted. But yeah, coming back to the cost part, I think this will get pretty expensive pretty quickly. And so the best way for using a model like this, for example, even though you have like prompt caching and all, which will be obviously used every time you're using the model, but the best way is to still use something like a Claude Code, right? Something like $100 subscription. So you can see that the initial feedback is somewhat positive, where people are somewhat happy with the change. And it seems like on a $100 plan, it's also not limited. So I mean, obviously, if you are using something like Claude Code and if you're a developer and if it is making your job easier, like you're able to do tens of things in the background, tens of issues parallelly, you're just able to spin up plans at least, not just asking it to do edits. That itself is like a good use case, right? So one of the use cases that I have recently developed a habit of is that I will spin off a lot of agents in the background. So I'll probably create like a bunch of these Claude Code instances over here and I'll give them tasks. I will give each one of them tasks in plan mode, specifically in plan mode, so that they don't just start messing around the code base. Once they come back with the plans, I will review each one of their plans individually while I'm working on something else, right? I also share a lot more tips in my 10 tips for using AI video, which is where I share this and a few more tips. So make sure you watch that. It has created a plan file before finalizing. It has a couple of implementation questions. Should the original audio track be automatically extracted when a video finishes processing, or should the instructors manually trigger extraction? Automatically, I think that's a stupid question, but sure. For the video decoder service key delivery, should an audio track keys use the same endpoint pattern or a separate one? So it's asking me for the key delivery, should the audio track keys use the same endpoint pattern or a separate one? I think we do not need to encrypt audio at all in clear key. Just video encryption should be more than enough, right? So basically what it was asking was that even in Fermion's case in videos, in clear key encryption videos as well, when you upload a video, for example here, it's not as simple as, somebody just can't right click and download this video directly, right? It's not as simple, even if you don't have DRM on. Obviously you can take a look under the hood and you can try to inspect, and if you are somehow able to figure out the encryption secret, you would be able to decrypt the video, but it's still not as straightforward because these are AES 256 encrypted segments of packets, right? So what it was asking me is that should I also use the same endpoint or a different endpoint for audio? And what I suggested it is obviously like, you don't have to use encryption at all for audio, right? So let's see how it tries to come up with the plan now. I think it's gonna cost me a lot of money. What's going on right now? It has already been like Claude has taken about 8 to 10 minutes of time already in planning, but let's see. All right, so it has the plan right now, and let's see if this plan actually is good or not, because that is something only I can can tell you because this is a code base I'm familiar with. All right, let's go on this. Multi-audio support for Fermion video platform. Overview, and add multi-audio track support for Fermion videos, enabling original audio extraction and AI-dubbed audio tracks. Audio tracks are tied to the video entity, shared across all quality levels, and use HLS clear key encryption only. Okay. Part 1 is the architecture for multi-audio, which I mentioned, and part 2 is the AI dubbing integration, future 11 labs, and so on. So audio tracks per video, track types original plus AI dubbed, playback modes only HLS, clear key and DRM, audio encryption none, auto extract is original audio is automatically extracted, right? Great. This looks okay so far. In database schema, it has created a new table called video audio track table, which has a bunch of fields: pending, uploading, uploaded, processing, ready, failed, and deleted. Okay. So first mistake I can already see, like this would probably not need states like uploading and uploaded right now, because we are not asking people to upload tracks, which is what one of its explicit questions was. So this is how these models, pointing out very specific things, but this is what these models miss out on, and this is what a senior engineer working on this would not miss out on, right? But anyway, let's keep going. Video audio track source type, original, manual upload, AI dubbed. That's fine. Did I mention that it should support both? I'm not sure if when it asked me, did I give it the answer that it should support both the modes? I mean, I'll probably have to go back this video myself to see that. But anyway, let's just keep moving forward, because if I mention both by mistake, then I think it's fair that it has added uploading and uploaded. Then it has a video audio track. It has some schema. It has the video ID. It has the foreign key relation, language, label, default, source type, and status. Then it has some S3 buckets and keys, which is our standard way of like, this is how we store some of these information in the database. Unprocessed source file is this. Processed HLS audio, no encryption, plain HLS. Interesting. So my first question for Claude generally would be is that why do we need this unprocessed in the first place, right? So it's not like we are gonna compress the audio a lot or something like that. We'll probably just create the processed video first, like a 1080p version of that video through FFmpeg and stuff. And then we will extract that audio and we'll just put it somewhere, right? In an originally uploaded video. And for AI processed, we will just send the audio file, get the dubbing back, and yeah, we'll just use that directly, I'm assuming. So not really sure about this decision. Processed HLS audio, no encryption, plain HLS. I don't know why it keeps calling no encryption as plain HLS. I mean, audio is not HLS, right? But sure, I think I understand why it's saying that, because it's going to create like a manifest file and so on. AI provider metadata, so that's fine. Order index is something as well that it's storing, so that, obviously whenever you refresh the page and the player changes, so it does not just keeps messing around the order of the audio files, right? So that's also an interesting thinking point. Then it says that it will update the video model, and then coming to the storage architecture. So it will create a bunch of storage namespaces. Again, this is right, because this is how we use it internally. We'll create like a namespace, and then we'll create keys which will map to object stores, which exactly like how it's showing you right now. All right, so it's creating like an audio.m3 UID. It's creating actually an HLS file, HLS playlist, and it's gonna have these segments with that. Okay, step number 3, API endpoint. So it's gonna get video audio tracks. It'll list all the tracks, create video audio track upload. I'm assuming that I have by mistake I have enabled both manual and AI based, but I just wanted to have AI for now, but that's fine. So it is creating these bunch of tracks as well. Mark video audio track upload complete, that's fine. Update video track metadata, that's also fine. This is all manual work, right? So that's fine. Now it's saying get details to play Fermion SAS recorded video. This is our core resolver, which returns, like checks all the access and so on, and it just returns information, right? So add an audio tracks array to this response schema, where it's saying that we'll now send, we'll send videos and audio separately down the stream, so that's fine. In AV processor, which is our internal system that actually does the processing of the video content, we will have original audio extraction and process audio track HLS as 2 separate tasks. Interesting. I think they should not be different tasks. They should be same tasks only. That is where the confusion also comes from, the fact that where it had, had this uploaded and processing. But yes, you would need that if you are, if you're doing manual uploads as well. Then it says the transcode video needs to change. After the video transcoding completes, you have to create a video audio track with source type original and status pending, so that some other job will pick it up. This triggers the extract original audio task, which is fine. Then in the audio itself, the plan is to get the highest quality video source, download the MP4, extract the audio, upload to R2, update the audio, and then trigger the audio HLS track. So I want to see like what it's doing. Basically, it's that it has split it into two jobs. First job just gets the audio, and the second job actually creates the HLS file. I get it now, like why it had a separate bucket. That makes a lot of sense. I think I actually made a mistake saying that this is not required. You actually need the original audio as well in case, maybe like the instructor wants to download the real file. Then in case, you can question me that you can just keep the real file as well. But whatever, it's always better to have more data stored than just trying to reconcile the data later on, right? So yeah, this makes sense. You will store the original data, original audio, and then you will have another job that actually takes the audio and creates an HLS segment playlist, right? And the status is ready. Now the multi-audio implementation requires us to change the video playback, update the master playlist generation to include audio tracks. So we will do that, right? So we will exploit HLS itself to use audio and video as separate segments, and then the future AI integration parts as well. So for example, for 11 labs, right? Then it has a bunch of critical files to modify. It has a bunch of more implementation sequences, database changes. It's somewhat there. I would rate this maybe like a 6 out of 10, because even though this Claude Code has access to front end, it did not go ahead and check in the player how am I supposed to do that, because that is also the part of the job, right? But it's somewhat there, but it's not there quite, right? So I'll just probably quit this job here itself, and I don't know how much it actually cost me. I don't know how I can check that because I've never used Claude Code over API. But anyway, the final verdict that I have is that it's 6 on 10. It's somewhat there. I think this can probably do 80% of its job on its own if I do a bunch of prompting with this as well. Because again, like I mentioned in the last video, important bit is modifying the plan and working on top of that instead of just doing, just letting it do whatever it wants. But this is impressive, right? I'm impressed that even with as a stateless thing, right? Claude Code is basically stateless. It does not remember anything about this code base. If you think about it, it's crazy that something like a software, how far we have come. A software I can run, I can give it 10 minutes of time. It can scan through a production code base and it can give extremely relevant suggestions. This is extremely good technology right now. So yeah, this is something you should use. It's a very cool thing. It's a very cool product. Super impressed. I would probably go for $100 plan, or I'll just wish that they will extend the $20 subscription to Claude Opus 4.5 as well. But other than that, I do feel like if the limits are good enough, even the $100 plan makes a lot of sense, right? So that's all for this one. Do let me know your feedback or suggestions on how do you think Opus 4.5 is behaving out for you. Excited to try out this model and see how this works for you all as well. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next video very soon.